Next up, taking a peek at the steering wheel for the vehicle. So we're going to go through all of these different buttons and figure out how everything works. So starting off, we've got our stick on the left-hand side, and that's going to let us figure out what's going on with the running lamp. So we're just going to rotate this little part right on the end of the stick here. It's going to flip you over there, so we're going to rotate that in order to be able to change out what's going on to the running lamps there. So we do have a few different options. I honestly always just recommend keeping to the auto setting. It's super straightforward. It's automatically going to flip us between our daytime or our nighttime running lamps as necessary. We can also pull in towards us for our high beams, and then we can push away to get our auto light setting there instead. So what that means is that if our high beams are on later on at night and the vehicle senses an oncoming vehicle, it's going to dim them for us and then bring them back on again. Flip away to turn that off, etc. Stick along the right-hand side is going to be for our wipers, so we can control our wiper speed there. We can get our front windshield wipers going, and then right along the tip of the stick there is going to be for our rear wipers instead. We're going to pull in towards us to get that front windshield wiper fluid going, and we're going to push away in order to get the rear wiper fluid going instead. So very straightforward there. Looking at all the different buttons, we have a series of different options that are available. So this very first one there, inside of the base screen, like what we've got here, we're going to push that one. You see a little error message come up because this is going to be our button for our Siri and our Google Assistant. So if we were hooked up through Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, we could push this button in order to get to our assistant there. Inside of some of the higher trims, so the ones with navigation in the screen instead, this button would let us change songs, radio stations, and navigate using our voice as well. We do have a mode button along the side there. So as you can see, that's going to let us change between AM, FM, Sirius XM, etc. So all of our different sources, which is a great thing. We do also have our button along the bottom right-hand side here, and that's going to be a customized button. So as you see there, we push that and we can literally customize it and let us figure out what we'd like it to do. So we can reject a call, we can change it to privacy mode, and a few other things. So we've got a few other buttons and things like that we can create specifically. So we've got one on the screen there, and then we've got our two on the steering wheel. So we've got some flexibility as to what those buttons actually do. We can answer or hang up on a phone call there as well. And then we've got our volume rocker, so we can easily go volume up, down, etc. We can push this thing in the middle in order to be able to turn it off. And then we can also go up and down there in order to be able to change between our presets, or we can press and hold in order to be able to seek between different stations as well. So it is nice, we've got so many options there. The pad on the right-hand side, we've got a button along the very top there, which is going to let us change between our different screens there inside of our cluster. While the buttons on the right-hand side here are going to be for our adaptive or our smart cruise control system. So we can turn the smart cruise control system on there. So as we're driving, we push this button to turn it on, and then we can set by going up or down. So we can increase or decrease, and then we can increase or decrease 1 kilometer or 1 mile per hour at a time. And then we also do have this button along the bottom right-hand side, which is our distance indicator. So how close or how far are we away from the vehicle that's in front of us? The next one over is our lane centering system, so our lane follow assist. Now that's different from our lane keep assist. So the lane keep assist, if we start to veer over into a lane, we're going to gentle nudge back into our lane, whereas the follow assist, it literally essentially is going to be self-driving. So as you start to veer over into a lane without signaling, what's going to happen is it's actually going to keep us balanced in our lane. So if you lose attention for a second, it's going to keep you balanced in your lane as long as it recognizes the lane marking. So these two systems can work in conjunction with each other, which is always a nice thing. Now we do have a few other buttons there as well. So we've got our OK button, and we can also go up and down. And that's going to be for that little cluster screen. So we kind of move up and down. You can see us going between a few different options there. But let's start off with, I guess we were on the front page there. Perfect. So we've got our settings there, and we've got our attention level. So this one, if we start to veer over too many times without signaling, we're going to get a little counter there. And if it happens too many times in a short period, it's going to tell us we should probably take a break. And then we've also got some additional settings, but we'll get to that one in a second. We've got some accumulated info there as well. So our drive info, our since refueling, etc. And we can literally just press and hold the OK button there in order to be able to reset everything. So all of our trip counters, etc. We do have our auto start stop there. And then we also have our kilometers. So we can go kilometers, miles per hour, etc. We can switch over to some user settings. So we've got a few different ways to get to settings, because if we saw, we've got this option, we can press and hold OK to jump into some other settings there as well. But going through this screen, we have some different options. So we've got our driver assistant. So same things that we just saw, our warning timers and our warning volume. So do we want a high, medium, or low volume? We've got our driver attention warning. So it's a useful one because if we're not paying attention, it's going to let us know we should probably take a break. But you could also turn these things off if you wanted to. Our forward safety, so active assist. If the vehicle senses a potential collision in front of us, it's going to actively brake for us with this setting on, or we'll get a warning or nothing will happen. We've got our lane safety, same idea. So we've got our assist, we can get a warning, or we can turn that setting off as well. and that's the one that's going to nudge us back into our lane. We've got our blind spot safety, so our safe exit warning is great because if we go to open up our door, so we're opening up and there's an obstacle there, it's going to let us know of a potential obstacle there, which is great. So we can turn that warning on or off if we want to. We can get an active warning or assist, or we can have nothing happen there instead. So we've got a few options there. Our parking safety or cross traffic alert, if we're going to back up and the vehicle senses a potential collision, it's going to let us know about that one. Moving back again, and that's our driver assistance settings. We've got some options for our cluster. So we've got our wiper light display. We've got some warning messages there, as well as a welcome sound when we go to turn the car on. We've got some different options for wallpaper, which we can just kind of make out a few small changes there in the screen. So it gives us a few different metallic looks and things like that. Moving back, we do have some options for our lights there as well. So illumination, we can increase or decrease the brightness of the screen there. We can do it through this menu if we wanted to, or there also is a little button along the side there so we can increase or decrease that way instead as well if we'd like. And moving down a little bit, so we've got our turn signal there. So we go once and it goes 3 times, or we can have it off where it's just a single instead. So we can go 1, 3, 5, or 7 flashes. You've got a few different options there. Our headlight delay, so when we go to lock the vehicle, do the lamps stay on for a moment, yes or no? High beam assist is a great one, and that's one where if we flip away, our lights will turn on or off, etc. So we can easily adjust that one as necessary there. Moving back, we've got some door settings as well. Our auto lock, we've got 2 different options. So as we go to shift the vehicle, it'll automatically lock the doors for us, or it'll be enabled on speed, so as you actually start driving away. Same idea with our auto unlock. So when do we want the doors to become unlocked? When we shift it into park, when we turn the vehicle off, or do we want it to never auto unlock and we have to manually unlock ourselves? 2 button press unlock is an option there as well. Convenience settings, we've got our rear occupant alert. So if we go to turn the vehicle off for a moment and we open up the door, so you can see there, we've got a little message letting us know that we should check the rear seats. So a great little added safety setting there. And turning the vehicle back on again. I am welcome screen. Hello, hello, hello. All right, and let's move back down. Where were we? Cluster lights, door, convenience settings. Welcome light. So we've got our driver approach lamps there as well on the outside. Wireless charging, we can disable it there as well if we'd like to. And we've got our auto rear wipers. So this is a useful one. I always recommend turning this thing on. And the reason why is because if we've got our front wipers going and then we put the vehicle into reverse, it's automatically going to turn our rear wipers on for us as well. So it's definitely a nice thing. We've got our service intervals there as well. We've got some different units, so kilometers, miles per hour, temperature, Celsius, Fahrenheit, fuel economy, liters, kilometers per 100, etc. And we've also got our tire pressure units. Moving back, and we can also do a reset. So if you've kind of played around with this a little bit too much, you can reset it and bring it back to our factory default screen there instead. That's going to be the basics for our user settings, but we saw some of the other settings here. So we hop inside, and these are just going to be some of our base settings in comparison to this option where we can get to all of our settings instead. Back across one more, we've got our tire pressure, and we can also see what's going on with each wheel. So if we get wheel slippage and things like that, this screen is going to let us know exactly which wheel is getting what amount of power, which is a nice thing. But overall, I do like the styling of this one. This is just, again, as I mentioned, the base cluster with our analog dash. We do have the option for a fully digital display there instead, and that's going to be available in the higher trim. But that was the basics of the steering wheel and the cluster screen inside of this vehicle. So that was pretty neat, right? I love the smart cruise control feature. That is such an amazing thing. But if you ran into any problems, you have any questions, drop down in the comments section below and let me know. I'm more than willing to talk you through any issues that you might be having. But if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your social networks, and think about subscribing because it definitely helps the channel grow. And until I see you next time, take care.